how does Kyren Williams relate to Tua Tagovailoa? Right? How does that work? And I'll tell you very simply. Right? Kyren Williams signs a 3-year deal, which, as Dan Byer told you at the top of the hour, is really a 2-year deal at $23 million guaranteed, which fits right in line with what running backs had been making previous to last offseason, and you kind of go back the last 5 years. And last year, or the last 2 years, we've been sitting here at this point in time, and I feel like I've been the voice of reason saying none of that actually matters. Right? No one's given them a 3rd year guaranteed because it's a bad investment, and the running back market isn't moving a ton. And what happens? Saquon Barkley has an unbelievable season with the Philadelphia Eagles. Unbelievable. And the Eagles, though they didn't have to, they go in there and say, hey, 1 year in, we're going to rework your deal. We're going to make it 2 more years guaranteed. In other words, it was 3 years guaranteed, but that's not the deal that he signed. He signed a deal that was on par with all those other deals. Matter of fact, the deal he signed with the Eagles was only worth $1 million more through the life of it than what the Giants were paying him. And this isn't to say that it wasn't brilliant to sign with the Eagles. I've said this before, though he kicked away all of the Giants reunion stuff, the chance to be in New York and be a New York Giants running back and be the next Tiki Barber, etc. This changed his trajectory as a football player like nothing else you could think of. He goes from the best player in a bad team to the best player on the best team in football. Right? But the actual contract that he signed wasn't some groundbreaking deal. Derrick Henry's contract wasn't Josh Jacobs' contract wasn't some groundbreaking deal. And to all of those like myself who would tell you that, hey, they more than lived up to that deal in year one, the argument had never been, a little bit had been over what the scale was year 1, year 2, but most of it was, are you going to guarantee us that 3rd year? And I brought up the outlier arguments that become narratives because that's what we're doing with running backs. We're going to use the outlier of Saquon Barkley and say, hey, this is the new model. This is what running backs are worth. And they're like, yeah, well, Kyren Williams signed a deal that's right in line with all those guys from the previous year and year before. I'm not telling you to not watch sports on TV or not have these insane sports arguments that people had, but the truth is always closer towards the middle. And what it says for the running back position, and the Buffalo Bills. Byer, was it you who told me yesterday that the Bills are now the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was listening.
And we did it in the press.
Right. So Dan shared with us that the Buffalo Bills are the favorite to reach the Super Bowl. And now they're currently practicing without their starting running back. Now, you could make the argument, they have the starting running back. His name's Josh Allen. He's under center playing quarterback. But, again, all of these arguments are exactly the same as the ones we've had over the past 3 years. And so instead of getting caught up in Saquon and what he got and the Eagles ripping up his deal and giving him a contract far above the market, Kyren Williams is telling you where the market is. 3 years at 33, 23 guaranteed. And if you're a starting high-caliber top 10 in your craft sort of running back, that's about what you should be expecting. That's about what you should expect. That's not the rank and file. Rank and files are the guys that are just fighting for a roster spot. There's 2 or 3 on every roster, right? There's guys that come in you've never heard of before. They do special teams. On passing-only situations, they're back there really to block on 3rd down. Those are the rank-and-file guys. These are a notch below stars. A notch below stars. Starting running backs, 3 years, 33. That's right there with what Saquon, Josh Jacobs, all of those guys – well, between 9 and 11, 9 and 12, going back last year. It's a slight increase over it in year to year, but reality is it's a 2-year contract. Yes, Dan.
7th amongst running backs in the NFL in average annual salary.
There you go. It's about right, right? And this is from a coach, okay, who's been in 2 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl, seen as the best offensive coach in football, and one who values running the football. But he's not going to overvalue it to where he tips the scale and he can't afford other things, and this is a good contract. So my point is, don't listen to outlier arguments that people want to make into narratives. The running back market has not changed a great deal, nor should it. It's a position that you just can't protect from injury the way you can as much at wide receiver, definitely not like quarterback or anything else. You just can't. They have not changed the rules inside the tackles running the football. So it's not necessarily about value. It's about durability. It's about availability. And the likelihood that, 3 years after signing a contract, you're still going to be the player or a better version of the player that you are when you sign that contract. That's a hard argument to make. And again, you could say, well, look at Derrick Henry. Again, that's an outlier. Derrick Henry isn't everybody else. And Derrick Henry doesn't really catch it out of the backfield. There's other things he doesn't do, but, man, he can run downhill. But I'm not trying to question Derrick Henry. I'm telling you that that's, again, the exception. Saquon Barkley is the exception. The rule is we're right about there. 9, 10, 11, 12, somewhere smooshed in the middle, and you're going to get 2 with a little bit in that 3rd year. But I think there's a lot of people who sat there on their couch and saw Josh Jacobs perform incredibly well. Aaron Jones played really, really well. You saw Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, and you're sitting there going, stick that to the man. Give those running backs big contracts. And I told you throughout the year, that's great. The argument wasn't over signing those players. It was over the yearly, but mostly over how many years guaranteed, and everybody's falling back on 2. Everybody's falling back on 2.